Really important, I think, Al, for the Pacers to get off to a good start. We know about how they're depleted. They don't have O'Neal. They don't have Best. Harrington and Tinsley both are a little banged up. As you take a look at the last basket, the first hit for the Pacers, it was a pass that just bounced around, and actually Cliff Robinson rolled it up and in, and said Primo was nearest to him, and nearest to the ball. They tried to hit him with the field goal.
One of the areas in which the Pistons are improved is foul shooting. Actually, it's 72%. They now lead the league at 84%, and that includes Ben Wallace, who last year shot 37% from the foul line.
Shooting close to 70 right now this year, Al. And when you get a guy to improve that much, you got excellent free throwers as Barrows, Stackhouse, Cliff Robinson off to a good start from the line.
Brzezinski from behind, he stays with it, and there is Wallace. And here is Barrows. The 13-year veteran lets it fly. Tinsley on the run, with Barrows watching him. Rose guarded now by Stackhouse. Rose rises, and there is Wallace on the boards. He's 6'9", and with the addition of Cliff Robinson now at the center spot, is able to move back to his natural power forward position. Last year, in a very decimated Piston situation, he was playing the center spot. Stackhouse last year, the second leading scorer in the league behind Iverson at 30 points a game. He's chopped about 5 points off, but doing other things, and they're getting Cliff Robinson involved. Coming over from Phoenix in his 13th season, he's been in the playoffs every year. And the Pistons last season, who won only 32 of their 82 games, hope that Robinson's the lucky charm.
Well, he's a guy that's very durable. He's only missed 15 games in his 12 years in the league, Al. And he's been consistent in producing good numbers, a 17-point per game career score, and that's about what he's averaging right now for the Pistons.
Barrows for three. Pistons also been an excellent three-point shooting team. Last couple of games, they have taken 51 of those. Tinsley taking a look, and nothing but net. And the Pacers are off to an early one-point lead. So much psychology goes into this game. You think here are the Pacers completely exhausted. Fourth game in 5 nights. They go a double overtime. It's the second straight week of 4 and 5 nights. Pistons rested.
But that's why you tee it up, Al. You never know how teams are going to come out. Energy and intensity are often the equalizers, even when you're a little undermanned. Oh, that looked like a clean block by Primoz Brzezinski as he helped Jalen Rose, who was clearly beating. From that angle, you can see he came across the arm. So
looked like a clean foul. So Brzezinski gets his second personal foul. Now you take a look at Detroit's side of it, as they have this ball game with a day off, as Al Harrington comes in for the first time here tonight. But they outscored Dallas the other night by 26 points. They've won 5 of the last 6. They are streaking. They're feeling good about themselves.
But each game is a separate entity in and of itself. Last night was a draining, emotional loss as Tinsley loses his guy with a tremendous spin dribble. But the point I was about to make, each game is an entity in and of itself. The Pacers had a draining double overtime loss. Actually felt like they squandered that game. If they make a foul shot or pick up a key defensive rebound at the end of regulation or the end of the first overtime, they come out of that game on top. And they come here tonight needing to get off to a good start, recognizing that they're a little depleted, but ready to get after it. And you like the start they're off to right now out here in the first couple of minutes.
And Tinsley has been very much in the middle of it. You talk about here as a rookie going 51 minutes, certainly not used to that. But, you know, he's gone from sunset to sundown playing on the New York streets and has done that back-to-back. And Harrington.
Beautiful penetration and pitch there by Miller. And you can see Harrington bothered by the bruised left shin. He took an elbow or a knee from Gary Trent and sustained that injury.
Well, right now the focus of the offense has been Ben Wallace touching the ball every time down.
Well, Rick Carlisle probably thinking without Jermaine O'Neal, the Pacers don't have their intimidator inside as we take a look at Al Harrington suffering that bruised calf injury. Here he gets locked up with Gary Trent. And I asked Al prior to the game, I said, what actually happened there? He said, I don't know. I think he may have gotten me with his knee or his elbow. All I know is I was grabbed, I fell, and when I got up, I was hurting.
Well, compounding the problem, he said later in the game he's actually kicked by Reggie Miller as they kind of collided.
It's amazing how when a part of your body is hurt or sore, it seems like it draws tremendous attention.
Wallace with his 4th rebound already. We have not even played 5 minutes. All tied at 10, Stackhouse and Miller, and they have dueled before. Stackhouse gets his first field goal. Matter of the first game here, Stackhouse with 30, Reggie with 29, as the two offensive threats went head-to-head. Tinsley gets rid of it before the bobble, and there is Rose from deep. And it's a three-pointer for Jalen Rose, his first field goal of the evening. Dana Barros, who was contemplating retirement with a bad back, but came back for one more year, and he hits from outside. Harrington rushes it back. Harrington stays with it. There's the tip by Foster. And that's a difficulty the Pacers have been having. They've been hovering around the offensive glass, but just a little bit too much mustard on, and there the softer touch by Jeff Foster, and he gets it. And Indiana by 1. 6.5 to go in this first quarter. Pacers will actually have the next 2 days off, and then home against Atlanta Tuesday night. Tinsley takes it, and he is off and running. Harrington over Robinson. Now Foster, who has proven to be one of the best rebounders in the NBA, tenacious, and has his hands full tonight against Ben Wallace, and they're the two of them, and a nice block out by Foster to gather that one in.
Ben Wallace gets the bulk of his rebounds on the defensive board. He's actually first or second in the league in defensive rebounds. Foster, on the other hand, splits his rebounding work between both backboards.
Wallace a solid 6'9", 240. Here it is, run down by Foster, who makes the save, but it's Barros who has it. Michael Curry, the glue of this starting five. Robinson for 3.
They take 23-point field goal attempts per game, and they make on average 8. So they're very liberal with the three-point shot because they've got a number of guys who can knock it down with regularity.
They've made 23 of 51 the last 2 games. And Jamal Tinsley comes out soaring.
And Jonathan looking to get in there tonight against the Detroit Pistons. Isaiah Thomas with a short bench, hoping everybody brings some kind of freshness in. Reggie Miller with another.
Well, you can't discount the fact that the Pacers are desperate. They're actually starving for a W. They've lost their last 3. They're a competitive group. And yes, they're a little bit banged up. But they feel like they need a win and they can get one here if, as you said, everybody makes solid contributions.
Gets his own pass back. Robinson. Got a set play, Clark.
No, just a fortuitous bounce. Much like the Pacers got when Cliff Robinson rolled in a basket in their goal that was credited to Brezec early in the game.
And Robinson in the middle of this one. Fadeaway by Reggie Miller, who comes off a season-high 23 against Minnesota. He has 6 points in a hurry here tonight.
I'd like to see Reggie be a little more offensive-minded, especially in a game like tonight. The Pacers are depleted. Jermaine O'Neal's not here. I think he's got to look for his shot a little more.
And at the age of 36, setting the tone for everybody else who thinks they've fatigued as he comes out with a lot of hustle in the first quarter. All tied at 19. Dana Barros, one of the NBAers who have hit over 1,000 three-pointers in his career. Out of control, Jeff Foster is called for the first foul.
Well, I don't know if he was so much out of control there, Al.
Well, you know,
Ben Wallace got the benefit of the doubt.
But in the eyes of officials who are seeing Jeff Foster kind of for the first time in this many minutes, that's what it looks like to them. And Isaiah Thomas actually works on the officials to let them know, the newcomers, what their game is like, what to look for, and not to be so quick on the whistle. Didn't work there. And a 3-second violation is called on Detroit. Pistons have won 3 of their 4 games at home, coming off a 26-point victory against Dallas on Thursday, a game in which they had a quick getaways. Austin Crozier comes in. They had 62 points at halftime. They shot 61%, and they were figuring to get off to a quick start tonight against the tired Pacers. But Indiana staying right with them. This goes against Indiana.
Austin Crozier called for the moving screen. Happened away from us. We'll take a look. The left side of the floor here. And he was moving around. I don't know if he moved on his own or if he was bumped by the defender. But either way, the foul was called. And I think on a night like tonight, Austin Crozier, who's had his minutes decreased the last couple of outings, has not been very productive. It'd be nice to see him step up and step out. Beautiful pass.
Pinpoint to Rose coming inside. That one was through traffic. And a dazzling pass by Tinsley. Well, that's his second assist to go along with 4 quick points, and the Pacers leading it in the early going. There's Wallace who flies through the air. He averages just 7 points a game. He already has 8 tonight in the first quarter. Pacers have been beaten the last 3 games inside without the presence of O'Neal in 2 of them, and then Jermaine just not feeling as usual in the Boston game, unable to do the things physically that you know he can. The hook, and there is Harrington to get his own rebound. He's just so quick. The age of 21 in his 4th season, and Al emerging this year. Walking in is Stackhausen from behind, fouled by Jalen Rose. And Jonathan Bender getting ready to come in, but first a timeout with 2.5 to go in the first quarter in Detroit. Pacers by 2 over the red-hot Pistons. To Jalen Rose, and Al Harrington with the leg injury.
Oh, he was going towards the goal as he released that shot, and you'd like to see more players do that. Al is really growing with every game. The confidence, the energy, and the effort was always there. Now the confidence, the poise, the recognition, and you can just see him believing that he's a player. And you just saw Jamal Tinsley, first amongst NBA rookies and dropping dimes at 8 a game. That ranks amongst the league leaders as well.
Stackhouse, those numbers, and you could see the balance of his game in the last game against Dallas. Well, Monday night beginning at 8 on WB4. Don't miss an all-new 7th Heaven, followed by an all-new Angel at 9. For all the best action, it's got to be WB4. And Stackhouse has been taking fewer foul shots this year, but enjoying it more. Reggie Miller gets a rest, all tied at 23. Jonathan Bender replacing him. Our first look at number 39 for the Pistons. Jellico Rebraca, the European legend out of Yugoslavia, who was signed, he was actually drafted back in '94 and rights traded to several teams, and just didn't think he was ready to play in the NBA. Stepping around him is Crozier, and how big is that for Austin Crozier, trying to snap out of his severe slump as he rises to the occasion.
I've said it before, I love to see him facing the basket and not turning his back to his defender. I want to see him continue to do that. He can use his jump shot, although he's not shot it well so far this year, to try to set up the straight line drives to the buckets. The defender,
left
Deli, they call him, was
left in the dust.
He rotated off balance, and Austin took full advantage of it. When you go out to a guy who has the ball, you've got to be under control, just like that. Jamal Tinsley very much under control, and if he masters that little shot, and I think he's got it in his book bag, that little soft half floater, half hook, he's going to be able to do a lot of damage.
He's been struggling from the floor, but he's hit 3 of his 4 tonight. There he is looking for his first steal, and he knocks it away, but the foul. And Tinsley, the first to raise his hand as soon as the whistle blows, but he has been a pit bull on the defensive end, and so quick with his hands and so bothersome. He had 6 steals in the game last night, which has elevated him, hovering now around the top 10 in the league in steals, with 21 over the first 11 games.
Well, he goes to that ball like a dryer attracts lint. That's how he is. He's right on it all the time, moving around, right in there. And he did it beautifully last night to come up with those 6 steals. And he'll continue to do it. He's got strong hands, he's got good anticipation, and he's got that nose for the basketball.
Being guarded now by Chucky Atkins.
He can shoot right over him.
Bender over John Barry. He goes in, gets the foul, but not the hoop. So Barry at 6'5". No way he's going to stop Jonathan Bender, one of the pickups for Detroit over the offseason, adding a veteran and a guy with an attitude and peskiness. As you see, Bender is upset that he did not nail the jumper. Jonathan also struggling from the field, 2 of 10 last night, missing his last 7. When the Pacers desperately looking for some fresh legs, comes back to make that one. And he knows he's going to get an opportunity here tonight. There's plenty of PT on the floor for Pacers who produce this evening. 4-point lead for Indiana inside the final minute of the first. Rebraca using the body against Crozier, who fends him off. Nice defense by Austin Crozier. Rebraca 7 feet 260. Tinsley, crossover dribble, the fade, and the foul. Jamal Tinsley looks like he's had a couple of days off, quite frankly.
Hey, when the lights come on, he's one of those guys that when the light comes on, he's ready to roll. He's ready to get after it. He talked about how he hit the deck countless times last night and was aching and in a little pain, but you can see it. He has a glow to him when it's time to play.
Hit all 6 foul shots last night, makes his first 2. The Pacers have 30 on the board in the first quarter against the Detroit team that's second best in defense in the league. They give up only 86 a game. A little bit too much mustard on that play by Stackhouse, and the Pacers racing out. Rose stops and pops. Back the other way. Here is Stackhouse running. Rose gets back to spot it away and inbounds. Tinsley for the last shot. 7 seconds to go.
Tinsley made that play, Al, because he distracted Stackhouse by getting back.
And getting by.
Well, Tinsley that time tried to force a pass that wasn't there, and the Pistons turned that turnover into 2 points. Up until then, the Pacers had outscored the Pistons 6-0 on points off turnovers.
Tinsley, Miller is back in. Harrington, Bender, and Crozier across the board. Harrington guarded by Cliff Robinson. Over Robinson, who's a fine defender, and he buries it. A beauty by Bender.
Well, Bender has such length. It's going to be hard for teams to handle him at 7 feet tall with that kind of stroke. And there he is doing it on the defensive end.
Showing the stroke with a block shot. So Jonathan Bender on the defensive end going above the rim. Harrington fronting Corliss Williamson, but from behind, Al had some help.
Well, Al probably fronting Corliss from.
And that's
Corliss was too far out. I mean, you just play behind him. There, he's not a guy who can hurt you.
And that is a tough block. He didn't block it as soon as it left.
Oh, no.
He got
that. Got that
one.
Yeah, well, 7 feet tall, and with the bounce that he see a lot of that from Bender. A little confusion there, and Chucky Atkins with back-to-back field goals. And I think really what Rick Carlisle has done, in addition to focusing on some real basic defensive principles for his club and getting them to buy into them, is to have a nice blend with his starters, and then Chucky Atkins coming off the bench is a real catalyst in terms of the minutes he'll play versus what he played as a starter last year.
More suited to come off the bench, and he's a point guard that likes to shoot first, but in 20 minutes he's probably getting as much production as he did in 30 minutes last year. Miller finds Crozier, and from behind he is pushed by Corliss Williamson.
7-year vet out of Arkansas. He's had problems with back spasms. As a matter of fact, didn't play the last game, missed the last 3 practices, but I think his eyes lit up when the Pacers came to town. You remember Pistons acquired him last year from Toronto, and he had a 26-point game against Indiana as one of his first games as a Piston, hitting 10 of 12 from the field. Another push against the rookie Rebraca, and he has his second personal foul. Austin Crozier just too quick for the 29-year-old Rebraca out of Yugoslavia.
Well, again, Austin facing his defender, getting a step, utilizing that solid fundamental footwork, and a fairly quick first step to put Rebraca in position to pick up that foul.
Pistons last year won 32 games and lost 50. And this season organized one of the best offenses and best defenses in the early going. 24-second violation against the Indiana Pacers. Isaiah Thomas had this team off to its best start in NBA franchise history in 26 years, 6-2. Then the injury to Jermaine O'Neal, and they have lost 3 in a row. But all those bowl games going down to the fourth quarter. And you just wonder if O'Neal had not been hurt, Pacers could actually be sitting on a 9-2 record right now. Barry, quick release. And
well, you said it well when you described him. A little spice, a little pepper in your chili. He'll make the 3. He'll defend. Got some size.
Miller wide open. Here's Stackhouse starting out, pitches to Barry, a 3-point threat. Tinsley, who has gone the distance tonight, gets his 5th or 6th rebound already. Crozier is cut off. So is Harrington. Shot clock now down to 7. Harrington busts through.
Well, that's an example of what the Pistons are trying to do defensively. They don't have a lot of gimmicks in their defensive package. They want individual guys to have accountability for their men and everybody else be in position to help out.
Just a bulldozer effect, and Al has picked up his 2nd personal foul early. He fouled out of last night's game, which also hurt the Pacers. 13 seconds left in regulation, so they did not have Al in the 2 overtimes. And you think of at the end of that first overtime, the rebounding sequence in which Minnesota picked up 3 offensive rebounds to finally hit the tying shot. Williamson curls inside. He's been a monster this year. He's played 4 games. He's averaged 15 minutes a game, 13 points per ball game.
That's about a point a minute. You won't find too many players in the league with that kind of ratio. But he's very efficient now. He's strong and he's physical. Most small forwards are not strong enough to deal with Corliss Williamson, although that's not the case here tonight because Al Harrington is as strong as there is at that position.
Here is Williamson going to work with Harrington in foul difficulty. Robinson steps in. So Cliff Robinson in his 13th season out of Connecticut. He has been an all-star, 6th man of the year. He's had a line just a little too heavy. Here is Barry picking it up. Came off the bench for Sacramento the last few seasons, and one of the ingredients to help the Kings become one of the interesting teams in the NBA. Tinsley draws that foul, and we have a timeout called. Foul number 1 on Jerry Stackhouse. We are all last night against Minnesota, on his way to another one.
Jay Tinsley doing much work. Pull-up jumper in transition. Nothing but net. Spin dribble to the glass. And then just overpowering the smaller Chucky Atkins. He sits at the foul line now. He looks casual in his approach, but there's a fire in that guy that allows him to do what he does. And on the heels of a 51-minute effort last night, he looks quite fresh. And Mark Aguirre reminded him on the elevator at the hotel today that you are too young to be complaining about bumps and bruises. And it seems like Tinsley has taken that admonition to heart.
Well, he's on his way to a 48-minute game here tonight because he has been on the floor throughout.
Well, Ben Wallace just too strong, lifts Jonathan Bender with the ball fake, and then is able to get himself to the line. But here's a guy, Ben Wallace, who just thrives on the defensive elements of the game as you look at the free throw shooting.
And even with a Ben Wallace, Detroit #1, and there is Indiana at #2 in foul shooting in the NBA. Wallace came into this game hovering around 70%, having made 9 of 13. Last year, 37% from the foul line. But the way he's going tonight, though, he might get back down there before this evening is over. Reggie Miller throws to the hoop. And Williamson. Detroit will try to run every opportunity, especially considering the Pacers situation. And Stackhouse cashes in only his second field goal. This year, Stackhouse averaging 25 a game, 5 less than last season, but he's also dishing for 6 assists per ball game, getting everybody else involved.
And he's taking 5 less shot attempts per game. He averaged 24 field goal attempts last year. Only 19 per game so far this year. Well done.
Step in
by Jonathan Bender. He's got a sweet, sweet stroke. And as his strength and confidence grows, he becomes a very valuable and maybe unstoppable weapon for the Pacers.
Isolated again. Rick Carlisle wants to take Harrington out of there, get him his 3rd foul. Williamson, the fadeaway, and that one finally fades in. Corliss Williamson signed a 6-year, $34 million deal with the Pistons.
Well, that's a heck of a matchup, him and Al Harrington, both strong of build, very aggressive players.
Once again, Pacers look to go over the top and turn it over. Stackhouse getting a little too tricky, and then Bender is fouled by Williamson. So Stackhouse wants the 3rd pick in the draft out of North Carolina by the Philadelphia 76ers. Was supposed to be the next Michael Jordan. And beautiful pass if he was looking for Jonathan Bender. And Stackhouse worked the whole summer with Rick Carlisle, who came up here early and got on the same page. And for Rick, that's the guy you want to get on the same page going in. Rose with the left hand. And there's Ben Wallace to yank down his 7th rebound. Damon Jones, number 14, a newcomer here for the Pistons, his 8th team in just 4 seasons as a NBA player. He goes from downtown where he can hit it. He is an offensive player at 6'3", 185 out of Houston. Carlisle trying to put together scrappiness in that second unit.
Right.
Certainly has more depth to deal with this year than the Pistons of the past. Back in action, Pacers with the ball, now playing without Jamal Tinsley, getting a brief rest, and Indiana with a couple of turnovers the last few sequences, and Jeff Foster ricochets that ball hard off the backboard.
Well, Isaiah not going to wait too much longer. Jamal Tinsley checking back in. The Pacers 4 of 8 here in the quarter, Al. The Pistons have been able to get up 13 shot attempts, in part because of the turnovers by the Pacers. That's why you have the discrepancy in Williamson packing a lot of production into his time on the floor. He's so quick and strong inside.
Both teams shooting 50% from the field. Crozier the hard drive. And there is Barry starting the fast break. He stops and fires from 3, and that's how he can kill you. 12 of 26 from downtown this year. And that Barry coming over was very unpopular as far as the fans were concerned. Traded for Mateen Cleaves.
He'll win him over with his grit and 3-point shooting.
Cleaves, of course, the local product, and there is Foster back-to-back hoops.
Well, the Pacers have to be careful here because the Pistons can shoot the 3 and are very aggressive in looking for it. They can spurt away from you very quickly. If you don't get back in transition, if you're careless with the ball, they'll knock down a couple of 3s.
There's Barry waiting. Gets his own rebound. Until it's gathered in by Austin Crozier.
Well, you've got to really be conscious of tagging the shooters for Detroit. Uh-oh, Ben Wallace took a hard spill. Looked like he grabbed the left ankle.
And you could hear the collective groan from the crowd here in the Palace, understanding. And Rick Carlisle, he sees one of his most important players now on the deck. Ben Wallace, who is in the top 10 in the league in rebounding, block shots, and steals. And he is the muscle man and the strength and the presence on the defensive end. And tonight, also on the offensive end, he's the high man with Stackhouse at 8 apiece. Timeout.
And walk off. And it appears as though he should be okay, at least as he's looked at by the training staff over there, Mike Abdenauer.
Well, weeknights at 6 on WB4. Don't miss David Spade and Just Shoot Me, followed at 6:30 by Kelsey Grammer and Frazier. Big laughs. It's got to blown out all the opponents by double figures. Barry just short. It was online.
Well, I tell you what, they're getting too many open threes. I mean, the penetration is sucking in the defense, but the Pacers have to do a better job on containing dribble penetration so they're not forced to help and free up three-point shooters. And turnovers starting to mount here in this second quarter. And there you see them.
But right now, Pistons having their difficulty finding the basket. They've been stuck on 46 for a while.
Well, the Pacers scored 30 in the first quarter. They've only scored 11 so far here in the second.
Make it 14.
Yep, Reggie Miller right on cue.
Last 6 games, he has hit 7 of 35, hovering around 50% from downtown. We have 2.5 minutes to go in the first half. 2-point ball game. Pistons a record of 3-1 on their home floor. The loss to Portland, that by 2 points, losing the lead late in the ball game. Inside track, Tinsley's the man who grabs it. Ahead it goes to Rose. And Brezets, who is checked back in, gets his second field goal tonight. And all of a sudden, the Pacers, with a 7-0 run, have tied this one up. 2 on the nose to go in the second quarter. Stackhouse limited to just 2 field goals made. Jones, another 3-point threat, and gets his second tonight. This is only his second game for the Pistons. He played 2 minutes against Dallas, and tonight coming off the bench and burning Indiana.
Well, that's a good acquisition for the Pistons, especially the way they like to play. They spread the floor, and a bit of a late whistle.
They'll call it on Jones.
Going to get himself to the line as Damon Jones guilty of the foul. But Jones is a guy who can knock down the three, and because the Pistons primarily play on the perimeter with the lane open, it fits his style and strength well. And Jamal Tinsley unable to get the first free throw to go.
Well, the Pistons this year, second leading shooting team in the NBA, around 48%, and consider the fact that last year their 2 top scorers, Stackhouse and Atkins, shot just under 40% from the field. And you could see all the different weapons, and Rick Carlisle trying to open up the floor offensively with his 3-point threats.
See, look at the spacing at the force, and a good challenge by Tinsley.
But Barros and now Damon Jones and
Cliff Robinson can shoot the three.
Stackhouse. The steal by Stackhouse is a 3-on-1. 1 pass too many.
3 seconds. Stackhouse thought Barry was going to shoot it, and Barry gave it back to Stackhouse, and he was in no position to try to shoot it.
9th turnover now for the Pacers, and they've been mounting here in the second quarter. Rick Carlisle saw a golden opportunity wasted there as the supposedly tired Pacers hanging in here in the first half. Here's the Pacer calendar brought to you by Chevrolet as the games continue. Indiana actually has a couple of days off. Scott Hope with full court tomorrow morning at 11 right here on WB4. Atlanta comes in on Tuesday. Michael Jordan on Thursday. And then Duncan and Robinson in San Antonio Friday. And then heading out west to a 5-game road trip. They'll play the Clippers after that Utah game. So here are the Pacers tonight, Clark. 4th game in 5 nights. They're coming off a double overtime ball game. This is the 2nd consecutive week of 4 games in 5 nights. So they have played 8 games in 12 nights. There are several teams in the NBA who haven't played 8 games all year. Tonight is Detroit's 8th game of the season.
That's right. That's right. The schedule works its wonders in cruelty on everybody, and at some point the Pacers will have significant time off between games, but right now, by the time we get out of November, the Pacers will have played 18 games in 29 days.
Well, the rough thing for Isaiah Thomas now is Corliss Williamson battling with Primoz Brezec. The foul is on Williamson, and he didn't think so.
Primoz may have gotten away with a bit of an acting job there, but take advantage of it when you can, and the Pacers hurting themselves in this quarter with turnovers and also some missed free throws.
It's become primetime Primoz. He played 25 minutes against Minnesota after a terrific 9-minute stint of 8 points in Boston. So before the Minnesota 25 minutes, he had only played 15 minutes as a Pacer in 3 games.
Stackhouse will probably look to take this himself. He can shoot right over Tinsley.
Tinsley talking to him. Barry slips in on the run. Upstairs goes Brozets.
And he came down awkwardly, may have wrenched his ankle.
Foul will be called against Indiana, as Brezet's very slow to get up. I was going to say it is on Jalen Rose, and the look on the face of Isaiah Thomas with so many games now, all these injuries affecting the Pacers even more because of the plethora of ball games. And the Brezet's going up with the Williamson again. It's Williamson, the thorn in the side of the Pacers, as he trips over, gets tangled in the feet of Williamson, and Brezet's still down.
He caught the back of Williamson's foot, stepped right on his heel, and wrenched his right ankle.
Brezet's getting the playing time because of the injury to Jermaine O'Neal, and now he's being attended to by David Craig.
Both trainers getting significant work here in the early going. Mike Abdenauer from the Pistons had to look at Ben Wallace's ankle just a while back, and now Primoz, unlike Ben Wallace, who was able to walk off himself, needs the help of Bruno Sundov and Carlos Rogers to get to the bench.
Well, you can see the contingent of Pacer 7-footers right there, but they are now being pointed straight to the locker room. 22 seconds to go in the first half. Travis Best today placed on the injured list, so he
laying on top 51-43, and it's still the first half. Tony Kukoc finding Sharif Abdur-Rahim. Sharif had 19 in the first half, and as we go to
opportunity, one of the stalwarts on the Pacer stat crew, Mr. Gene Himmelgarn, back watching, celebrating a birthday. I won't give away the number, but one of the original stat crew members. Happy birthday, Gene.
It just keeps them very young. Isaiah Thomas studying the situation along with us in the final seconds of the first half. And the last shot for the Pistons against a very stubborn Indiana team here. Crowd urging Jones to make the move, and he does just in time. Oh!
Not like that. Well, I actually did it to myself, didn't I?
No. Well, I owed you a few. And here is, as they call him now here, Z. It is Jellicoe Rabracha.
Rabracha. Okay.
This is Rick
How about Zelly Rabracha?
You know, whatever. John Barry calls him slow-mo because that's the way he sees him playing. He's huge at 7 feet, 260 pounds. Now we receive word that Primo Brezec will not return here tonight, and we may have to bring out that Clarion Health injury update once again. It keeps on growing, unfortunately, for the Pacers. Jermaine O'Neal out with a back injury, and that is day to day. This is his 3rd game he has missed in the last 4. Pacers have lost the last 3 with Jermaine O'Neal having his difficulties. Jeff Foster becoming one of the lone remaining big men. Bruno Sundov and Carlos Rogers on the bench. Ben Wallace with a sprained left ankle, and he will not return.
Although those two players got off the court in different fashions, the end result the same, and
Zelly Rabracha just tried to back his way inside, and Foster held his ground and drew the foul. Mikey Moore going to replace Rabracha.
He was overzealous, Rabracha, and he sits down with the 3 personal fouls. Star in Europe, a national hero out of Yugoslavia. And he got the start here in the beginning of the second half with Ben Wallace out. So Moore, number 31, is in. Dana Barros, the starting point guard now for the Pistons in his 13th season. Rick Carlisle putting the ball in the hands of the veteran. Here is Moore, and there are 4 Pacers around that rebound. Indiana with a chance to take the lead. Rose rises, got it. And you kind of feel perhaps Jalen Rose streak in order. There's Travis Best, who has been placed on the injured list. There's just been raining injuries for the Pacers the last few games. Barros on the run, off balance, and snatched down by Reggie Miller. Tinsley ahead to Foster, running and missing. Again with a full head of steam. Barros whips it inside, and there is Moore for the placement.
Well, he's taken 3 shots in less than a minute, and he finally got one to fall. But you like his activity. I mean, the Pistons, he hasn't been getting much playing time, but he's a guy who played well late in the season last year for them, Al. Very active, can run the floor, block shots.
Barros with the personal foul. Moore actually in the last game against Dallas, he played 3 minutes and had 7 points. So yes, he likes to put the ball up. 4th season out of Nebraska, undrafted, played in the CBA, picked up at the end of the season a couple of years ago, and was very impressive with great hustle and jumping ability. And last year had his opportunity. Unfortunately, he didn't take advantage, but he has so much talent and athleticism. With Carlisle taking a look at him this year. Rose over Stackhouse. There's Foster wrestling it away. Back to Jalen Rose. Foster all over the place, and it'll be a whistle against Detroit, and Jeff Foster just making that happen. More with the personal foul. Jeff Foster wants the shot.
Well, if you don't have 2 hands on it. See, he was trying to actually dunk that back in the hole. It clearly was a shot attempt, but because he didn't have full control, it's called the loose ball foul, and the Pacers retain possession.
Foster in double figures in rebounds the last 4 games. He has 8 tonight, and another foul drawn by Indiana. Michael Curry, a defensive specialist, trying to wrap up Jamal Tinsley, who has been very offensive, aggressive tonight. Going to the hoop. He's the high man for Indiana with a dozen points. Isaiah Thomas, you saw his number 11 retired here high atop the Palace, bringing 2 championships to Detroit, and now watching his number 11, Jamal Tinsley. If you've seen the growth spurt in the last couple of games, one of the most talked about rookies and selected by the Pacers at number 27 in the first round.
Well, that's talked about an awful lot too. How did he go as late as he did? But something along the rumor mill caused him to fall, and the Pacers glad to be able to pick him up.
4 minutes into the second half, can the Pacers pull this one off when least expected? A grueling week, a double overtime game last night, several key injuries, and here in Detroit with the Pistons, a team that's won 5 of the last 6 and have had a day off. Rose gets it back and fires. Bender gets in there but can't hold on.
Well, Jalen Rose looking to get going, but as he can do on occasion, he can shoot in. This thing is wild right now. Both teams, one pass and shot if they aren't turning it over. So it's become frenetic, and actually the Pacers might fare well in that kind of wild affair. I know they don't have as many bodies as they'd like.
Or collapse.
Feast or famine.
One of the two. Tinsley isolated. He wants to take Barros. Foster reaching over, but this time he is tagged.
Well, the timeout is about a minute away, and I think both teams could use it. Things have become a little helter-skelter.
So Indiana sees Jeff Foster pick up his 4th personal foul, and that's with O'Neal and Brezets now unavailable. And their most valuable big man on the floor, Foster, in foul difficulty. Barros squeezes through. 57-54, the Pistons by 3. Dana Barros is one of 3 Pistons who in his career on one given night in the NBA's hit for 50 points. There's another one.
Poor shot selection here in the 3rd by the Pacers. Quick shots, hurried shots.
And swooping to the hoop for only his 3rd field goal tonight. The 8th leading scorer in the NBA, Jerry Stackhouse. And Rick Carlisle.
Well, the difference so far, Al, in this quarter, the Pacers have not knocked down their jump shots, and the Pistons are getting layups. I mean, the last 3 buckets, Mikey Moore, Stackhouse, and Barros inside.
Wiggling for room there is Jalen Rose. He had 31 last night after only 2 in the first quarter. He's trying to heat up again here late. Stackhouse now trying to get it going. But you saw in the first half that how different a ball club this Detroit team is now. Stackhouse just an element of the club, not a one-man attack.
Well, he feels more confident in what he has around him. The Pistons are playing with good chemistry, and they're playing very hard at both ends.
Tinsley working hard for that one, and he got it. He showed you the arsenal, working against the smaller Barros. 15 points tonight for Tinsley. And he is approaching a double-double, just 1 rebound shy. Timeout taken by Detroit. This 3-point ball game.
Introducing the best
to go.
Well, anybody you talk to in the preseason picks had Atlanta looked at as one of the more improved teams in the East. As you look at the numbers here, first half and second so far. Pacers struggling, and that 33% shooting a reflection of, I think, quick and poor shots here in the 3rd quarter, and the 50% for the Pistons due to the fact that they're getting an awful lot close. Shooting percentage a function of shot selection mostly, and there's Mikey Moore going right to the hole.
This is the biggest lead for Detroit, and that's his line against Dallas on Thursday night, making the most of his opportunity. So Indiana now leading or needing a lift from Austin Crozier coming off the bench. Harrington, Bender, Rose, and Tinsley. That's the 5. Tinsley has gone most of the way. He's the leading man with 16. Thought he had that one. Barros making Tinsley work on the other end, but comes up a little short. Here is Rose peeling out, but over dribbles. And now Stackhouse. Barros, the 3-point threat. Moore gives it back to
An
Stackhouse.
offensive foul, it should be. Mikey Moore not only left the ball for Stackhouse, but he jumped right in the path of Jerry's defender. We'll get a good look at it right here. Now watch him jump right in there. See, that's an offensive foul. He didn't like it, but it was the right call, Mikey.
Now Tinsley works on Barros, right in the hands of Crozier. Oh, Crozier lost control and batted the ball on a line. And perhaps that is a play that just kind of shakes it all up. Austin.
We'll take it.
He'll take it.
Exactly, and he needs something to get him going. And again, the Pistons inside. And that's where you see the lack of an inside presence. But again, you've got to do a better job of containing your guy individually, not allowing him to get easy looks in the paint.
Crozier for 3. Austin coming into this game had been 3 of 19 from the field and 1 of 9 from downtown over the last 5. And that's why we indicated that last shot. Maybe take something like that to start turning things around. Pacers need the original Austin Crozier, especially now with all the injuries. Tinsley looking for a cutting Harrington.
It'll be Indiana ball. Last touch deflected off of the Pistons. Isaiah Thomas last year came in as a first-year coach, first time back into Detroit, and won a thriller down the stretch by 4 as Pacers would go on to win 3 of 4 against the Pistons last season. Tinsley loses control, and here is Stackhouse on the run, chased by Crozier. So Austin, getting back there in a hurry, has picked up his 3rd foul. Stackhouse wants a little more than just a couple of shots.
He was looking for a flagrant foul as well. Austin clearly grabs him and tries to hold him up, but there's no flagrant foul. Actually, Austin got the worst of that. The worst of that as he was slung to the deck. And right now, a precarious position for the Pacers, Al. Depleted, short man. They've been around and they've been hanging close. They can't allow the Pistons to put together this surge. It would just be totally demoralizing. They've got to stay close. That means good shots, taking care of the ball. There you see the bench scoring. The Pistons with 28.
You see Jamison Brewer, the rookie out of Auburn, who was activated today with Travis Best going on the injured list. He's ready to come in. He's anxious to go. We may get a chance to see him tonight. Jalen Rose scoops it. Harrington over Robinson. Tinsley banging with Curry, and hard to the deck goes Bender. It will be Detroit ball. 7-point lead for the Pistons. Isaiah Thomas, who led the Detroit franchise to 2 NBA championships, 12 games, an all-star. And here's Tinsley on the run.
But he's by himself. That right lane isn't filled.
Stackhouse returns the favor to Crozier, showing you his leaping ability. Season as the 2nd leading scorer in the NBA, but not many W's on the board. And this season, with some more help, the Pistons, one of the surprise teams in the Central Division right now with a record of 5-2. But they'll be hitting the road shortly. 7 of the next 9 games on the road. Next one in Toronto Tuesday, then in Philly on Wednesday. Jamal Tinsley, 51 minutes, and one of the great lines in Pacer history. Getting a double-double, missing a triple-double by just 1 rebound. And he is right now on the floor with a double-double tonight. His 4th of the season, but the first time he does it with points and rebounds, not assists. 16 points, 10 rebounds for Tinsley. Stackhouse bumping with Rose. Oh, Moore goes upstairs, but here comes Indiana. Tinsley looking to break down Barros. Carlos Rogers, the Detroit native, in for the first time tonight. Foster on the bench with 4 personal fouls. And O'Neal is not here, and Brzezinski got hurt in the 2nd quarter. This is against Jonathan Bender, so Bender has his 2nd personal.
And despite all of that, Al, the Pacers within 6, and Jonathan Bender got the chicken wing out and threw Curry down and picked up the foul. Another lost opportunity at the offensive end.
Barros buries another 3. He's in double figures, his 2nd tonight. One season he hit 197 when he was a member of the 76ers and an all-star that year. 9-point lead now for Detroit. Run down is Rose by Stackhouse, who has assessed his 3rd personal foul. So Indiana came out spirited coming off the double overtime last night. 30 points in the 1st quarter. They had 18 in the 2nd quarter.
And you can just see the Pistons really trying to clamp down here, Al, really trying to energize themselves. They know the Pacers have had a tough quarter. They're trying to see if they can spurt away from them here in the last 2 minutes. The Pacers are going to have any chance. This next minute 55 is going to be really critical. They can't allow this lead to grow any larger. And to do that, they've got to execute better at the offensive end, not settle for the quick jump shot.
Isaiah Thomas trying to patch it together 30 points in the first quarter, 18 in the second. They now have 14 here in the third, and we have less than 2 minutes to go.
A sliding scale, not a good sign.
Yep. What we like to call the descending spiral of fatigue.
Okay, well said.
Barros.
Add that to your phraseology for the night.
And now it's Tinsley who has gone most of the way for Indiana. He's played all but 4 minutes in this one after going 51 minutes last night.
Well, get it to the other side. Somebody's got a shot.
Crozier had it, but passes it up to make the move.
Bailed out with the foul. That looked to be a strong possession and then got progressively weaker until the foul.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, you saw a red-hot Austin Crozier, and there's no question he would have taken that initial shot. And
well,
they call it on Williamson.
Yeah, he tripped
fourth.
He tripped him. Pacers have been outscored 10-0 in paint points inside the colored area. And then that points out what I've been talking about this quarter. The Pacers have settled for quick jump shots. The Pistons have been able to go inside either off the dribble or by way of the pass. You don't need to be a genius to figure out what's better for your offense.
7 tonight by Crozier. This is one of his better outings over the last half dozen games. Williamson, and he just plows inside. And it's a 7-point lead for the Pistons. And without O'Neal, the Pistons continue to take advantage, as has every team the Pacers have faced this week. Rose, swish.
Well, certainly O'Neal would make a big difference, but some of that has to be the responsibility of individual defenders not being beaten so easily off the bounce.
Williamson settles for the jumper. And Indiana now looking to make a little bit of a move heading into the fourth quarter, trying to whittle it down. It has been a close game throughout. Crozier is open. He flicks the wrist, but comes up short. And now that leaves Detroit with a last shot opportunity. Barros checking back with his coach, Rick Carlisle, who called out the offense for the Pacers 3 seasons under Larry Bird. Now calling it out here for the Pistons is the head coach. 4 seconds to shoot. A force by Williamson. Not a good shot. And that ends the third quarter. So the Pacers led by 6 after 1. Detroit took the 3-point lead at halftime. Pistons on the boards. And with 8 steals and the turnover starting to mount as far as the Pacers are concerned. Detroit, one of the top shot blocking teams in the league, only one tonight. But the Pacers not taking advantage going inside. It's been basically a dribble penetration by Tinsley. Looking to start the offense. The big man for Indiana now is Carlos Rogers inside, but Indiana unable to establish anything down low. Rose with 3 Pistons chasing him, and he beats him. Great shot by Jalen Rose, who now is the high man with 17.
That's put a quick end to Tanya Fisher's hopes.
And a terrific choice there by Tanya. Here's Bender with a rebound, and there is her man. Tinsley gets it ahead to Rogers, swoops to the hoop. Crozier battles for the rebound, and that's nice to see. Haven't seen it in a while. Crozier with the offensive rebound and the putback. He has had a total of 12 points over the last 5 games.
Well, his minutes have gone down
tonight.
the last couple. It's nice to see him get going, and I think his confidence may be a little shaken, but nothing.
Gets a piece of that one. Crozier in the middle.
But some good quality play can be just the tonic he needs for his confidence right now.
Rose with the defensive ace, Curry on him. Bumps. Oh! There's Rogers digging for the boards. So the Pacers, before that turnover, showing signs of comeback life. Here is Moore, and Jalen Rose making very sure that Moore doesn't get to the hoop. That is the 3rd foul on Jalen Rose and Mikey Moore, will go to the foul line. Bill Spooner making the call. Well, if you want to enter our fourth quarter Miller Lite shootout, just jot down this address, and on a card write down the pacer you think will score the first field goal in the fourth quarter of the game, televised here on WB4. And we also have an email address where you can enter. And if your name is picked and that pacer hits the first and the fourth, you will win.
Have we had a winner yet this year?
I was just thinking that myself. I don't believe we have. Tough contest. Reggie
That was
Miller's
a tough
back in,
pass, too. Tinsley trying to push it ahead. I don't know if the Pacers would have had anything good had that pass been caught or not. But again, another opportunity given up by virtue of a turnover. So now you got to lock in and play defense. The Pistons without their main inside presence, Ben Wallace. He went out with the sprained ankle, as did Primoz Brezak in the first half.
Hard drive by Barry. John Barry on his 6th ball club. Very much part of the bench action of the Sacramento Kings that made them one of the exciting teams in the NBA, coming over to Detroit with a #1 draft pick for Mateen Cleaves, the favorite here in Detroit. Tinsley for 3. Six-point lead. Pacers hanging around. Pistons unable to put this one away against a fatigued ball club. And right now Isaiah just going to just about everybody he has. O'Neal is out. Brezets goes down in the second half, or in the second quarter. Travis Best placed on the injured list. Tinsley with the over dribble, still left with 4 seconds, goes right back at it and rejected by Williamson. Damon Jones lead pass to Stackhouse, touch pass to Barry. Bender gets back, and now Detroit starting to move it. And the crowd here in disbelief. I mean, they've gone several years and they have not seen this from the Pistons. Timeout. Well, Indiana, the 3rd leading assist team in the league. Isaiah Thomas has had this team move the ball around, look for one another. They average 25 assists a game. Tonight, for the entire game, we're 4 minutes or 3 minutes into the fourth quarter. They have a total of 7 assists.
Well, turnovers have crimped the assist numbers, as has the offense, which has basically bogged down and become one-on-one. A lot of one-on-one action, and really no need for that. They still can execute. 7 points down right now, make it 8. Very much still in the game, but they've got to do a better job of executing their offense. Moving the ball. The ball stayed on one side of the floor, and then it's been a breakdown or an attempt to break down the defense off the dribble, as opposed to player and ball movement.
Looking for their first assist of the fourth quarter, and it is Carlos Rogers inside in his neighborhood going to work, and he draws the foul on Cliff Robinson.
Well, you see him doing his work as the shot is being taken by Rose. He got inside of Cliff Robinson and was able to get the hoop and the foul.
So Rogers, who grew up here in Detroit, close friends with Jalen Rose in the Motor City, and he has been taking some short stints and putting up some stats.
Pacers trying to show some full court pressure, a different look, trying to eat into the shot clock a little bit. But when they do that, they open up three-point shooting lane.
Damon Jones, the thorn in the Pacers' side, his 3rd 3 of the night. 11 points, just picked up his only 2nd game with the Pistons, playing 2 minutes in the Dallas game.
They're 6 of 14 now. Pacers have not made one here in the second half.
Miller is back in, and he gets the bounce. Only the 4th field goal for Miller tonight. He has 11 points.
Well, he had a good rest in the 3rd. So if anybody has the fuel tank close to full, you would think it would be Reggie, although he he is suffering from a sore back as well.
And he played 42 minutes last night.
But the Pacers right where they want to be here, Al. I mean, they want to be in a position where they have a chance to win the game. 7.5 minutes to go. They're only down 6. The key is to make sure they get good shots every trip, and there's as good a shot as you can get.
And he definitely picks up an assist there, and all of a sudden it's a 4-point ball game. Foster back on the floor playing with the 4 personal fouls.
Pacers in a zone defense here, Al, which means somebody can be open for the 3. I don't know if Isaiah is looking to try to change the flow or maybe try to have his players rest a little bit on defense, but whatever the reason is, they create open lanes for the 3-point shot out of the zone.
That's a dozen now for John Barry. Rose, quick release, too hard. Crozier strapped, or rather Foster strapping for it. Stackhouse with the burst of speed and the foul. Carlos Rogers, 3rd personal foul. He tries to hustle back. Oh, check that. Harrington gets number 3. And Stackhouse has made his first 6 from the foul line before that one. 16 points for Stackhouse, who averages 25 a game. That is 8th best in the league. And the Pistons now their biggest lead. The reverse by Miller. So Miller has taken over. 3 quick baskets by Uncle Reggie. And Pistons with the ball by 7.
Well, this is where it's going to have to happen. They've got to lock in defensively.
Lazy pass. But Cliff Robinson turns it into 2. He's in double figures with 10.
Well, this Pistons team is a very good jump shooting team, Al. Evidenced by 40% 3-point shooting on the year thus far. And every time the Pacers have threatened to get really close, they've been able to knock down timely 3s.
It will stay there. Foster with that rebound has a double figures rebounding night for the 5th consecutive game, 11 tonight. Their last ball game, and they were right in on the in the ball game. Their 2 losses, and tonight now with a 9-point edge over the Pacers, who have been hanging in throughout despite the circumstances of a double overtime game last night, 4th game in 5 nights for the 2nd straight week. Tinsley gets back. Lead pass right on the money to Rogers, who maneuvers for a shot. So Tinsley puts it right there.
And Carlos Rogers grabbing the back of his right leg. He may have strained or stretched the hamstring. Not looking to come out, though.
Wide open. He's been hitting them and continues. 4th 3-pointer of the night from Damon Jones, who is playing for his 8th team in this his 4th season in the NBA. A former CBA player trying to find his home. Tinsley answers by hitting a 3 of his own, and he has a new high of 19 points. He had 12 last night, which actually tied his career high.
Pistons really do a nice job of spreading you out and opening up that lane for penetration and pitches. And as a result, they typically get high-quality looks, Al.
They've hit 8 3-pointers tonight in 17 attempts. They hit 23 over the last 2 games. Miller and Barry scrapping. And the foul will be called on John Barry. John Barry, whose career high of 23 came 7 years ago as a member of the Milwaukee Bucks against the Indiana Pacers, and it is held since 1994. Change made for Rick Carlisle, getting down to the last 4 minutes, and he puts on the floor his defensive
ace. Security blanket for Rick. Rick had Derek McKee in Indiana as Michael Curry here in Detroit. Tinsley pulls left. Foster reaching in, can't connect. And here's Stackhouse running wild. And he'll get to the foul line. Loves that open floor, knows what to do with it. The foul's on Miller. It's the first on Reggie.
Third team foul, and it was a non-shooting foul. So the Pistons will get the ball out of bounds. Both teams out with, actually the Pacers with their fourth team foul. The Pistons only have 2 here in the fourth quarter.
Indiana will have a couple of days off after this one. Then Tuesday night at home against Atlanta. Wild drive by Williamson. He goes down and goes down with his 5th personal foul. So Williamson, who almost didn't play tonight because of back spasms, really giving that back a test. Carlisle has spent 11 years as an assistant coach in the NBA. Last 3 with Pacers. Last year spent the season as a color commentator on the telecast in Seattle. The teardrop by Tinsley, and he has his first 20-point ball game as a pro. So after the incredible numbers last night, Tinsley comes back this evening. He's played 39 minutes, 21 points, 13 rebounds, and 4 assists. He had 15 assists last night. The Pacers, as a team, have 10 this evening. Run down by Rose. 3:10 to go. Pacers, if they put one in the hoop here, will put the pressure on the hometown Pistons. Oh, that's on Reggie Miller, tripping up Curry, and they won't get the opportunity.
I think they called it on Foster, Al, as he tried to free Reggie up. Let's take a look. Right there. There it is. Yep. He hipped him, yeah. Hipped him and shouldered him.
Well, that mucker and grinder Foster, another hockey term. That's a hip check into the boards by Foster. Now he works on defense.
Reggie was wide open already. These guys pick up 2 or 3 fouls a game like that. We're one of the best ever movers without the ball, and they just still.
WB4. Well, Clark, here in Detroit, the newspapers and the area website polls are asking, are the Pistons for real after 7 games? And you get your first look tonight.
Yeah, their effort and energy is excellent. They spread you out with the 3-point weapons that they have. They're playing together. There's excellent chemistry on this team. I think they are. Obviously, they'll be tested as they head away from home and start dealing with the back-to-back. They've only had 1 back-to-back so far in their first 8. So all of that will begin to tell the real tale, but I think they've got the makings of a very solid year.
Well, they're in a stretch now of only 3 games in 12 days, while the Pacers have played 8 in 12. But they may have come up with another weapon here tonight in Damon Jones.
Corliss Williamson has been very, very good off the bench for them. Matter of fact, their main guys, their 2 leading scorers, Stackhouse and Robinson, have been fairly well contained.
Robinson 10 points. He averages 17 a game. Stackhouse with 16. He averages 25 per. The addition of John Barry also gives this team that attitude, feistiness off the bench. Reggie Miller can't get the ball in play. 8 seconds left. And a 20-second timeout is called. Pacers home Tuesday night against Atlanta. 7 o'clock start. Then Thursday, Michael Jordan is at Conseco Fieldhouse, an 8 o'clock start. And Friday, San Antonio with Tim Duncan and David Robinson, and an 8 o'clock start. And then Saturday, the 2nd annual John Wooden tradition. And that is the lineup: Purdue versus Stanford, Missouri, Xavier. It all starts at 6 o'clock. 2 great games and 1 ticket. And tickets for the 2nd John Wooden tradition are on sale now at all Ticketmaster locations. Last week, Pacers had 4 games in 5 nights, won all 4. This week, 4 games in 5 nights, in jeopardy of giving all 4 back, but playing with the one arm tied behind their back. And you could see tonight vividly what it has meant to the offense and not to have Jermaine O'Neal here in attendance. Tinsley now with 23. Pacers unable to work any kind of an inside-out ball game. Williamson bumping and hits. And that's a shot. If it's missed, Indiana still has an opening. But now down by 7 with 1:03 to go. Tinsley has scored the last 7 for the Pacers. Releases to Foster. And the foul.
And what you needed was the hoop as well on a beautiful find from Tinsley. Again, this has been a big part of the Pacers' offensive attack here in the second half. Basically out of necessity, as Tinsley has been given the ball and asked to penetrate either for a shot for himself or for a teammate, and that time successfully got it to Foster, who gets 2 free throws. Williamson, after a tremendous effort from him in the absence of Ben Wallace, just fouled out with his 6th foul. But he gave the Pistons a presence inside and some much needed scoring.
Mikey Moore replaces him. 14 points tonight for Williamson, who is not even supposed to play tonight because of back spasms. Crozier comes in, and Carlos Rogers goes out. Foster to the foul line for the first time tonight. 13 rebound ball game. That's what he has been averaging now over the last 5, becoming one of the supreme forces on the glass in the NBA. 7 points to go with those boards. Indiana trailing by 6, desperately need a stop.
You know, Al, the Pacers have hung around, especially here in the fourth quarter, within 6, 7, 5, but you never got the sense that they were going to break through. The Pistons always seem to be in the position of controlling the game. 3-point shooting has come along in timely fashion.
And the difference for the Pistons, they've been finding the man on the outside, and they have drilled 8 3-pointers tonight.
And they've gotten it from everybody. They've got 6 guys in double digits, and nobody has more than 20. So it's been a multi-pronged and balanced attack. Let's see if this ball belongs to the Pacers. From that angle, it was hard to tell.
Well, referee says no, so the Pistons get the clock reset to 24. And the officials now turn it back to Indiana.
Well, still time. Can knock down a quick bucket. It doesn't have to be a 3. Just something good and quick.
In the hands of Tinsley, who's played 41 minutes tonight, heading into this final minute of play.
Well, that'll do. He'll get to the line. The clock is stopped. It was 55 seconds when they got the ball, so only 7 seconds elapsed. Penetration. It was an intended pass, but because the Pistons are over the limit, Tinsley gets to the line. A career-high 23 for him tonight. Make it 24.
And he is 7 of 9 from the foul line. Carlos Rogers comes in for the defensive end, and Austin Crozier goes out. So Tinsley raising eyebrows last night. 51 minutes, 12 points, 15 assists, 9 rebounds, 6 steals, 5 block shots. Comes back tonight with a double-double, 25 points and 12 rebounds.
Defend without fouling, and they just whistled Tinsley for a foul.
His second. And it is a penalty situation. So Detroit gets the shots. A 4-point ball game. Another gallant effort by an undermanned Indiana team. Incredible last night. Going to 2 overtimes against Minnesota. Without Jermaine O'Neal, Travis Best injured after 3 minutes. Harrington hurt his leg in the first half and continued on. And here tonight with Travis Best now on the injured list. Jermaine O'Neal didn't even make the trip. Primoz Brezet's spraining his ankle at the end of the second quarter. Harrington playing bruised and bumped, only played 24 minutes. And Jones now with 16 points. One of his greatest games as a pro. Carlos Rogers, who is brought in for the defensive end, scores and has 7 points. That's his Pacer high. And again, it's a 4-point game.
Well, they'll need some help from the Pistons with missed free throws. And then a three-pointer is going to need to be made at some point by the Pacers if they're going to have any chance to pull off a victory here. But you made excellent points, Al, and the effort and energy. There you see Cliff Robinson. He's made 12 of his 13 free throw attempts so far this season. Make it 13 or 14. Ben Wallace left the game in the second quarter with a sprained left ankle, did not return. The Pistons have gotten contributions from everybody that Rick Carlisle has played.
Carlisle was an assistant coach in Portland when Robinson played there, so they reunited here in Detroit.
The Pacers have a chance to squeeze another couple of points off the deficit. Mikey Moore whistled for a foul on the rebound attempt.
And not a second ticked off the clock. So now it is Carlos Rogers who has stepped in, coming back home to Detroit. And he's looking for a couple of more points. He has had 7 all here in the fourth period. And those are his shooting numbers. And he comes through.
Isaiah Thomas just told his team if Carlos makes both, no foul, there'll be a 7.5 second difference between game and shot clock. So if he makes this second one,
it's
a three-point game, and you need to come up with a stop and a board. Now they'll have to foul. Oh, maybe Mikey Moore. Oh, boy, Jalen Rose. I thought he had knocked it off Mikey Moore, and so did Jalen. But now you go for one effort at the steal, and you've got to foul quickly.
Open man, it's a 2-on-1. Stackhouse. Moore throws it.
Oh, he may have gotten fouled, too.
Well, he took a look back at Carlos Rogers. But now we have a whistle on the other side. Mikey Moore looking to put it away. We'll see if Rogers fouled him.
He bumped him on the arm just a touch. But the thinking there is that you're supposed to flush that one home with that kind of opportunity. Well, this one is as crazy the last few minutes as it was frenetic during that stretch in the third quarter.
Well, this has been one of the toughest games for the Pistons this season. Carlisle has seen his team win 5 games by an average of 19 points. And they're going down to the last seconds in this one. Stackhouse completes the 2 at the foul line, where he's 8 of 9 tonight. Held to 18 points, but might be good enough. Tinsley, the quick release, in and out. And that will be it. Final seconds, and Detroit with Damon Jones. And now the Pistons will just dribble it out, but Reggie will not allow them to do so. And he gives the foul. Reggie wants to take it down to the final second here tonight. And he has been going with Bill Spooner this entire fourth quarter, the referee. So the Detroit Pistons looking to make it 6 of their last 7. Rick Carlisle, the former assistant of the Pacers, first head-to-head. And he has turned around the fortunes for Detroit here early in the season. But as we mentioned, again, they're on the road in Toronto Tuesday and Philly Wednesday, and 7 games the next 9 away from home. They'll be 6-2 with 5 games already played on their home floor. Indiana will talk it over. They are taking this down to Tinsley is high tonight for Indiana with 25 points. Jerry Stackhouse with 18, and that leads the way for the Pistons. Cliff Robinson, the newcomer, and adding another weapon. You see Rick Carlisle has several weapons at his disposal, getting off to this good start for Detroit. But Carlisle expected or didn't expect this close of a ball game against the totally fatigued Indiana Pacers. And we have a whistle and a foul with 3 seconds left, which will put the Tinsley back on the foul line.
Tinsley came into this game averaging 8 points per. He had 12 last night, which tied his pro high, and he more than doubles it this evening. Taking just a brief moment to get a deep breath. 42 minutes tonight, so 93 minutes in 2 nights for the rookie. And those are the numbers this evening to go along with 12 rebounds. And this should be it, but no. Reggie Miller with the foul, down to 1.5 seconds to go, and a 4-point ball game. So a good portion of the crowd has filed out. And we have been going back and forth so much. We haven't had a chance to congratulate our producer, Matt Scott.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Who tied the knot today.
Our best wishes to he and Ann.
Ann Perkins, who's a Pacer assistant controller. Matt with a lovely bride at the same time, assuring himself that he gets his checks on time. Amazing, Matt. Last night actually worked our ball game, the double overtime game against Minnesota. Incredible. A day before the wedding. I think he didn't miss the rehearsal dinner, though. But that is it. And Rick Carlisle enjoying this one, just as Isaiah Thomas, his first game against